Может ли деколонизация России начаться еще при жизни Владимира Путина и не приведет ли процесс деколонизации к гражданской войне в России?
Our problem is not Putin. Our problem is Russian Empire. We have to know about that. Even Putin will die tomorrow, nothing will change in Russian Empire. Because Russia started war against Chechnya in 1994. Putin even does not exist as a politician, but war started. And war will be continue until we will not war in Ukraine. До тех пор, пожалуйста, переведи, пока мы не выиграем войну в Украине, никаких изменений ни в России, нигде не произойдут. И мы должны понимать вот это. Если мы сегодня какими-то ложными посылами будем обманывать Европейский Союз, Соединенные Штаты Америки, говоря о том, что вот Путина не станет и все изменится, ничего не изменится.
The main point, and we should understand it very pure and very strongly, that the problem is not in Putin. The main point in the imperial system of Russia, and the main question for us is for whole world is to win war in Ukraine. Before the war in Ukraine won't be victory in war. Before Russia will not lose. We shouldn't speak about how it could be when Putin died, because it's wishful thinking that something could change if Putin died. So we should understand very correctly and distinctly that the main our task now is the win war that Russia and Belarus started against Ukraine.
И международное сообщество сегодня должно требовать от России не прекращения войны, а выдворения российских войск с территории Украины. Только деоккупация Украины может положить конец существующей системе. А пока сохраняется система, Путины в России не переведутся. Нам надо это знать. И проблема не с Путиным, проблема с той системой, которая существует многие века. Спасибо.
Thank you all for coming and welcome to Rome. Sorry for the little delay with which we start off, but you never know. Some things always happen in the last minute, but I'm sure it's not a big deal. So thank you very much again. My name is Matteo Angioli. I'm political advisor to Senator Giulio Terzi, who is the president of the European Affairs Committee of the Italian Senate, and regrettably he won't be able to join us now. He will be with us later in 1 hour and a half or so, because he has been called to a presentation of a report on corruption by the Minister of the European Union Affairs, Raffaele Fitto. He's going to present this critical report in the seat in the government building at Palazzo Chigi. He will be with us later. Having said that, I'm very happy to welcome all of you on his behalf, and of course I'm very happy to have here by my side Gianni Vernetti, former senator of the Italian Republic, former Under Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs, and one of the promoters of this meeting, which has been in the pipeline for a few weeks now, and I think it's very, very important that we are all here to talk about Russia and about the future of this region. I'm also very happy to welcome Oleg Magaletsky, the coordinator of the forum, Post-Russia Forum, who is been very, very active to call this meeting. So with no further ado, I think I can give the floor to Gianni Vernetti for his introductory remarks. Gianni, the floor is yours.
Hello, first of all, you can hear me? First of all, good afternoon to everyone, to the distinguished organizer of the 9 Free Nation of Pro-Russia Forum. And we are very honored and very happy to have this event today in Rome. And I would like to thank again my friends and colleague, Senator Giulio Terzi, that he will join us shortly, for supporting this initiative and for giving us the opportunity to host this event within the Senate of the Republic. I think this is an important step, because really I think that I attended the forum in London and in Paris, and attended online before again in Tokyo. I think a very important step that needs to be undertaken now is to improve the diplomatic outreach. So we need really to reach more and more government officials, European Union countries, to discuss with them the potential outcome of a different Russia, a different possible story. I think that the title that you choose, After the Empire, New Independent States Without Militaries, Colonies, and Misanthropic Ideologies, is appropriate. And I think that the future fall of the Russian Empire will lead to several new opportunities, but also several challenges that are still there, that are still on the table. When we are discussing in the next 2-3 days, there will be a very important European Union Council on the 14th and 15th December, where we really hope that a clear signal will be given for continuing a crucial support to the liberation fight of Ukraine. I think really this is a crucial step. We cannot miss these steps, because if we fail in properly supporting in politically and militarily and financially Ukraine, the risk for the entire continent, for our freedom and for our democracy is extremely high. You know that still there is a debate in European Union, in the United States. You know that we have a Prime Minister of Hungary that is trying to block, Viktor Orban, to block the new funding to the Ukraine. It even is trying to block the accession, the opening of a formal negotiation for the accession of Ukraine to the European Union. There will be a huge step forward, an opening of clearly opening of negotiation with Ukraine. Also in the American democracy, in our best alliance, still there is a component of the Congress that don't want to continue this clear and strong support of Ukraine. So this is one of the main challenges, I think. I think that in Eurasia, so we have a lot of challenges. We have a rise in autocracies. We have China, we have Iran, we have Russia, but today really the legitimate fight for freedom and of Ukraine, I think, is the most important of our challenges. So we can make a long list of challenges, but this will be very fundamental for understanding what would be the future of our continent, what will be the future of Europe, the future of Russia, the Russian region, the Russian space, we can say, what will be the future of Eurasia. I think that we need to be more creative. We need to be probably a little less realistic. We need to be more innovative in our foreign policies. So I think this forum could give an important contribution, an information contribution, ideas and policies. So the potential collapse of the Russian Federation is something that we have to take in serious consideration. So we don't need too much realistic foreign policies. We need imagination, creativity. We have to support the fight. We have to support the right of the oppressed nation of Russia, and that in the last 70 years were really they struggle against a terrible empire that was completely denying any minimal right of freedom, any minimal civil and liberty rights. We need to upgrade the current politics debate in foreign circle, in diplomatic and intelligence community. there is often prevailed the doctrine of the non-dissolution of the Russian Federation. This is something that we always, when we discuss in diplomatic circles, when we discuss with the foreign official, they said, okay, we need a democratization of Russia, not the dissolution of Russia. But I think that the democratization of Russia and the post-Russia, the potential dissolution of Russia, are two faces of the same medals. If Russia will be really a democratic country, I think, so with a really check and balance, with separation of power, with an independent judiciary, so a really and full democratic country, it's impossible to avoid that certain, today region, or so-called autonomous republic, could choose another way, could choose another path, a path of independence, a path of freedom. So I think we have to correct this mistake that sometimes we address in diplomatic cycle, no? To put in opposition the democratization of Russia from one side and the birth of new independent country on the ashes of this empire. So I think these are two faces really of the same medal. Frankly speaking, we in the 60s and in the 70s, we were talking about the 70s with our friend Yanis, that with his book, I think he gave a great contribution to opening this debate in Europe, in America, and worldwide. So in the 60s, in the 70s, we witnessed the decolonization of the empire of the last century. Africa was decolonized, most of Asian countries, most of Latin American. So the largest empire, you can call the British, the French, the Spanish, also Italy, small empire, by the way. But they were under a very strong, and in any case, disruptive process of decolonization. The only space in the world, the only geopolitical space that has never been decolonized is the Russian Empire. This is the only space. If you see the last 78 years of our history. So, and Russian Federation, the so-called Russian Federation, the Russian Empire is really a mosaic, and you represent the diversity, the very extreme diversity of culture, religions, identities, languages, stories, oppressed nation that they suffered under Stalin and under the different phases of this regime, and they continue to suffer today and continue to pay a very high price. I really believe that new democratic nation, from the Russian Far East to the European parts of Russia, could give a contribution for democracy and stability for our continent. So also we have to change the narrative. No? Sometimes they say the risk of the collapse of Russian Federation could lead to new disaster, to new geopolitical instability. It's not true. It's true the opposite. The Russian Empire could lead to instability, to new disaster in all the European political space. It's exactly the opposite. It's exactly the opposite. So Europe, Asia, the Asian democracy need to be prepared for the potential dissolution of today Russia and to the birth of a new countries. So I think we need to call the European Union and all the member states to begin to interact with the representative of the future nation. And we have today a good representation to begin to establish relation, to open negotiation, to understand the story, to understand the exception, the originality, the unique story of Circassia, of Chechnya, of Buryatia, of Tuval, Kalmykia. It's complex story. It's part of the history of our continent and is a neglected history, is an histories that the Russian Empire wanted to erase from the history books, wanted to erase from the geographical maps. Thanks again. I hope we will have a fruitful discussion. Thank you.
At the first, I want to say thank you for Gianni, for Matteo, for the office of the Senator Terzi to organize this great meeting in Italy, in this great city where a big empire was born and it was collapsed for some times. We understand that everything changing, and you can't just think about that everything tomorrow will be like the same like it was in the past. So thank you for everyone that come here. We have 3 sessions when we will discuss the future of post-Russian spaces, of the free Eurasia, of free Europe, how to make it, how to make this process of decolonizing of the last empire in Europe most controlled and non-violence, how to make the future with the new frontier, but not buffers.
I'd like to give the floor to my friends and the Senator Giulio Terzi. That is, I invite him, and it was very instrumental and crucial his support for having possible this initiative. Giulio, I just let me say some words. Giulio Terzi has been a diplomat for many, many years, and we worked together for quite some time at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. He's been Minister of Foreign Affairs of Italy, and currently is a Senator and President of the European Union Commission of the Senate of the Republic. He's a champion on fighting autocracies, regime, and advocating for human rights, and is really very important interlocutor for, I think, for the job you're doing, for the activities you're promoting. Senator Terzi.
Thank you very much, my dear friend Gianni, Matteo, and really my best respect. Congratulations for this great initiative. Thank you for choosing Rome and Berlin, but I'm speaking especially for Rome because it is a sense of recognition of what the Italians, the Italian parliament, the Italian government, the Italian majority in government, and many, many people in this country feel about freedom, or worst, unfortunately, lack of freedom in Russia means, and what freedom and the need of freedom, sustaining, fighting for freedom in any possible way outside Russia, as in Russia, what is needed, and what the Italians feel, most of the Italians, I would say. And Gianni Vernetti he was my boss a number of years ago. He's much younger than I am, but still he was my boss. Question the history of parallel careers that develop in human history. But that, by the way, is very hot here. I don't know whether I'm just jumping. Is there possible to the technical persons, is possible to maybe to reduce the temperature, because perhaps it's here, and imagine that this is exactly to become the hot air is focused on the speaker, perhaps, or I mean in the wrong situation. But no, I'm sorry for this interjection. And I'm sorry of being so late in attending these works and this LPR session of this great initiative, the 9th session of your post-Russia Forum. Congratulations to Oleg Magayevsky for leading this initiative, this session, and I would like to really to wish you the best success and congratulate you for what you have achieved and what we are doing. In a way, the reason I am so late, I would have attended really, was extremely interested in being here with you and listen to all the speakers. But the reason I was late are strictly connected in many senses to your work, to our work together for freedom and for what is happening in Europe, in the heart of Europe, which is the war in Ukraine. And the destabilizing forces that President Putin and his acolytes tend to unleash in Europe. Among our democratic societies, the Kremlin is trying to destabilize through a number of persons, through a number of organizations, we know very well, through disinformation, through media, in the media environment, in the economic environment, and we, during the Cold War, there was a definition for those who were too close to the Soviets, and they were called useful idiots. Now they're only useful because maybe there are not so many idiots, but there are so many interested persons and organizations and groups and even political forces in our democratic societies which are prone to bow, to accept, to buy Putin's propaganda and to play in the hands of these people in the imperial dreams that they have, or restoring not as much as a Tsar kingdom and empire, which in the sense was very tough on many minorities, but there was a culture, a European culture of humanity as well in those 19th and 17th centuries a manifestation of history in Russia, a great culture with people of outstanding moral values. But now it is even a shame to call it an imperial Russia now, because it's a Russia which has gone through the horrific devastation of the Soviet regimes. It has expanded through a scientific indoctrination, repression, and exclusion of all the ethnic minorities wherever it is needed, even religions, and especially the freedom of belief, of political orientation, political understanding, and affiliation to parties which are connected to free democracies. And in saying this, that what we are witnessing as European, it is the war against Ukraine has been, in a way, coordinated in a very nefarious and worrisome way with other conflict. And what was just said by what was the colleague, I would like to call her because it was in a very important position, the Minister of Foreign Affairs in the European Parliament, in the Polish political environment, and Fotyga, who spoke before me, and they quote a number of concepts in her expose which are very interesting. She was talking about the connection between all these geopolitical upheavals that we are witnessing. And they are there. She mentioned, Anna Fotyga, the speech delivered a few weeks ago by President Putin, by said, a very important concept that I think it cannot be denied in any possible way. The concept is the dictatorial regime, autocratic regime, and terrorists must be stopped as early as possible in their criminal behaviors. Because if we do not do that, and we are not capable of doing that, the moment they will be able to take ground, and they will sense that they are winning, at that very moment, their dreams of imperialism and their dreams of even genocidal attacks against other people, other religions, other countries, other nations, continue to grow, and they are expanded, and they are reinforced. So in that sense was what was just said in the previous intervention. I could subscribe to it entirely. We are living through two fought wars in the Middle East and in Europe, which are one on the basis of the opportunity which was felt by the other parties which are moving the other war, in the sense that there has been a clear connection between the feeling that Putin and these people were imagining that the Western countries were becoming weaker because of Ukraine, and that was the temptation which was exploited by Iran with far away support, but not too far away political support by China, by the Chinese Communist Republic. And that was, in fact, a movement, a geopolitical turmoil, earthquake, which moved in connection, in a leg in connection with the other. So the European war is the Middle Eastern war, and they are connected. And maybe there will be other explosion in other parts of the world because of this sense of weakness that Putin and also the Iranian leadership has registered. There has been their own evaluation. But that evaluation is profoundly wrong because the Western countries, the Atlantic community, the European Union are closing their ranks, and they've been reacting for more than 22 months now. And they've been reacting very effectively. They have established a clear line of common political will, and they are reiterating this political will at every possible occasions in the G7, in the meeting of the North Atlantic Council, and the European Council. And that mentioning why I was late now. I was late exactly because with a number of colleagues I was discussing exactly the same elements. What should be the position of the Italian Parliament and let's say the governmental majority represented in Parliament? What should be the position vis-à-vis on the matter of Ukraine, on the matter of Middle East, on other matters which are related to these issues? And it is not a mystery that the next European Council is a complicated step for the European Union, as it is complicated the decision which is going to be taken by the American Congress concerning financing and the support. The 360 degrees wide support by the United States to Ukraine for its defense and its needs, all its needs, military, humanitarian, economic, financial needs, as it is for Europe. But at the end, that will be the decision, because the political will is there, notwithstanding the technicalities, the difficulties, the alliances that we have to continue to take. And this has been the great failure of President Putin and the allied that are with him, including the Iranians. The failure has been that the Euro-Atlantic community is stronger than ever it has been, militarily, economically. The record of the growth rate, the unemployment, the technological advancement, and the military capabilities, the joining of important countries like Sweden and Finland in the ranks of NATO, notwithstanding the problems with Sweden, but we know very well that the cooperation with the Atlantic Alliance is already very effective and strong. All these elements would never have been possible without the tragedies that Ukraine, an European free democratic country, is facing. And therefore, Putin has already lost vis-à-vis the opponent, the adversary, that he has chosen, a war of choice in the most derogatory term. It has already lost in creating a geopolitical situation that he had completely mistaken with all the capacity of the chess players in the great strategies in Kremlin of occupying Kiev in a matter of hours. It has lost in the sense that he has completely miscalculated the economic, technological, scientific consequences of what he was doing. And he has was completely mistaken in the not foreseeing coming the capacity of Western countries to attract an enormous push of new allies. Forget the fact that, no, I don't forget, but I don't overvalue, I don't emphasize the value that there are many countries in the so-called South or the BRICS and plus, the BRICS plus group that are not voting against the war of aggression in Ukraine. But the fact that even among those who have not voted against and who have not voted in favor of the UN General Assembly resolution condemning for the aggression and asking the withdrawal of Russian forces, there are many who are inclined to be on the side of the Euro-Atlantic community. And there are a number of circuits, a number of networks which have been established, which have a very significant importance for the global security. Let's talk about the Quad in the Indo-Pacific, the AUKUS, all the and other informal groupings which are active in the defense industry and in the political and military cooperation. And therefore, this is a fight that it has to be continued, and I'm pretty confident that the next European Council will ratify whatever has been ratified in the past and will come up with the proper solution to continue the engagement of the 27 countries in Europe and to be an active part in the North Atlantic Alliance, in the G7 and the other fora. I've expanded a little bit too much given the hour on this aspect, but I would like only to conclude about a close remark on human rights in Russia and Belarus, and should say in Iran and in China. But let's focus on the Russian Federation. Today's Le Monde, you open page 2, there is a horrible story about psychiatric hospitals in Russia, coming back to the habits and practices of psychiatric hospitals in the Stalinist era, where every dissident was liable to be taken just for having mentioned under a cup of coffee or vodka, or a glass of vodka, having mentioned that maybe the regime was not the best in the world, and it was easily taken for a psychiatric visit if somebody had ever deferred him to some acquaintance or some people who could be very dangerous. And it was very easy to be put in a psychiatric hospital. That is the reality today also, according to this interesting report of, I'm mentioning just this question, but also the question of abduction of children, the question of political prisoners, which are practically made disappeared by their people, by the police or the jail institutions. It is a story also that of these last few hours that Navalny practically is disappeared. Is not in contact with his supporters. Has been not in contact for a number of days, and there are a lot of worries. that the situation could go out of control, also in monitoring where he is and what are his conditions. So I'm just mentioning these few cases to show you that there is a high sensitivity here in our countries about respect for human rights in these dire situations which characterize the Russian Federation today, and for which your fight is our fight on the side of this table. Please let us be connected and to work together with, in truth, transparency, and with a lot of motivation to fight for freedom. Thank you.
Thank you again, Senator Terzi. I just want to add one word only, just to give you a news, quite important news. Thanks to Senator Giulio Terzi and also bipartisan efforts that we promoted together, a few days ago, Italy withdrew from the Memorandum of Understanding of the Belt and Road Initiative. I think this is a great news because the previous government made this mistake almost 3 years ago. And the new government have just time till to few days before Christmas, and then there was the official notification following this very strong bipartisan initiative to make it possible that Italy could send a very strong signal to regimes and autocracies that really the status quo is not there. It's possible to change. Thanks again.